For topic number 2, we're going to stay on Tobacco Road as I teased it, and we're going to hit on the Duke Blue Devils. And this stems from, I got a text message. Yeah, it stems from a text that Greg sent me yesterday afternoon that said, for the record, I'm not buying Tyrese Proctor hype. Came out of nowhere. Didn't really know what caused it. Pulled up the at Duke MBB social media page or Twitter page. And I see that they uploaded a 4-minute clip of some practice footage, and it basically was a Tyrese Proctor showcase. He kind of had the whole repertoire of moves on display, from pick and roll passing, catching lobs, throwing lobs, hitting threes. So I wanted to open up a dialogue about Tyrese Proctor in particular, because I saw this video and it looked like they're getting ready to kind of gas him up as their National Player of the Year front runner. And maybe that's part of Filipowski's injuries, could be tied into that. But Cart, I wanted to turn it to you first. Where are you on Tyrese Proctor and his standing in the landscape of college guards? Could you see him being an All-American? What does he need to do to get to that level?
I think it's a little bit overhyped or over pushed in my eyes. Like, I think a lot of people, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I think in most circles, like, people are penciling Tyrese Proctor as a first team All American. I feel like that's the national narrative right now. And I just, part of it might not even be Tyrese Proctor's fault. Like, they still have Jeremy Roach on this team, who, will never ever leave Duke, apparently. Like, they still have him on the team. And I guess because I haven't got off my hot take yet, and we were almost like a good amount of time in on this episode, like, I still think Jared McCain might be the best guard on this team, even over Proctor. So I don't know. It's just, Proctor's good, don't get me wrong, but like, everyone's just like, oh, first team All American. He's that guy. He's going to be like one of the best players in the country. There's a world where he isn't. Okay. Like, Tyrese Proctor did struggle last year. He wasn't just unbelievable. He did pick it up towards the end. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of projecting going on with him, which is fair. But at the same time, I don't know if it's like a bona fide, oh yeah, he's first team All American.
Greg, you want to get your take off?
Yeah, I've made it this far into the show. I mean, just gassing up every player, team, coach in the country. So do I have the blessing of both of you guys? Can I be honest now and stop lying and positivity about everybody?
Please
Yes.
do.
Yes. Okay. Good. So here's where I'm at on Tyrese. Here's where I sent you that text the other day. So I got a sneak peek at the Almanac content because I create content for the Philo 68 social media channels, and in efforts to help promote this beast, I asked Rob Doster if I could get the behind the scenes stuff that you guys are preparing, a lot of the lists you guys do, like All American teams, everything like that. So he sent me access to a Google Drive, and I just combed through it looking at things, trying to pull out something that would be worth to make a video on. I ended up doing All American teams, and I didn't even mention this in the video, but Tyrese Proctor is on one of the teams. I won't reveal which one. And he's the only player of the 15 players listed that has a note next to him that says, are we moving him up? Like, should he be on a team that he's not on? Like, he's circled, like, are we too low on this one? He's on an All-American team already to start this preseason. I get the narrative, and the truth is that Tyrese Proctor got a lot better as the season went on. He finished the season great. He also finished the season with 2 of his final 3 games, culminating in a 7-point game and a 5-point game, going 4 for 17 from the floor and 2 for 11 from 3. His season ended on a clunky note, not a breakout note. He had 0 games last season as a freshman with 18 points. He did not score 18 points once last season. I've never seen first team All-American hype before for a guy who is on a team with another All-American and another veteran point guard who on paper isn't stepping into like a larger role than he was last year, who shot 38% from the floor, 32% from 3 in 29 minutes a game, and averaged 9 and 3 last year. Like, I would maybe buy this if Roach was gone, and it's like, it's the Proctor show now, but I don't feel we like didn't get a look at who Proctor is last year. He played 30 minutes last year. And he didn't crack 40% from the floor, shoot well from 3, average 10 points. Like, he didn't do anything like that. So I get, like, the tape looks good. I think there's obviously a jump. Players all the time make jumps from freshman to sophomore year, but I'm having a really hard time understanding why he is on paper ahead of guys like Tyson Walker or Tyler Kolek on All-American lists. Like, those guys are proven elite guards in this sport. Tyrese Proctor needs to take a massive jump just to get there. And I don't get it, to be honest. I just don't see, I don't see Proctor being the reason Duke is going to be great this year. I think that's on Filipowski more than anybody.
Yeah, G, I definitely see your points with that. The numbers, when you look at them on the surface, the statistics, you kind of have to take a big jump to get to this Tyrese Proctor first team All-American buzz that's been generating really since he declared that he was coming back to Duke. I think a lot of people are enamored by the highlights because his flashes, like if you look at Tyrese Proctor's greatest hits from his freshman years, they're special. Like his live dribble passing, the playmaking he's able to do out of ball screens, the highest highs are absolutely special, and he looks like a lottery pick. And I think he his 2 for 11 from 3 game, notwithstanding, or if it was a couple of games, I know his shooting from long range, it came along a little bit towards the end of the year. Probably the second half of the year, I want to say he was closer to probably 36% from 3. But yeah, the numbers are hard to get by. For me, I'm somewhere in between. Like, I think I voted him a top 10 player in the sport because I think the sophomore year breakout is coming. I want to say I had him on an All-American team for the Almanac as well. I can't exactly remember. I'd have to go back and look at some of my texts. But what I can say about Tyrese Proctor is that I've watched a lot of freshman guards for Duke over the years. The gold standard for me is Tyus Jones. He's someone who I despise because he won a title at Duke my senior year. I had to watch him in Chapel Hill rip my team's heart out. And we had a game 1 in Cameron against this team too. 5-point lead with like 30 seconds left, and somehow Duke won in overtime. So yes, Tyus Jones is like the gold standard for like freshman guards at Duke who just terrified me. There are some guys who I thought would get there, whether it was, I was really high on DJ Stewart going into that Duke team. Trevon Duval I thought was going to be pretty special. And these guys didn't always pan out. Those two in particular didn't really do much. But I will say that watching Proctor down the stretch of last season, when he was controlling games, when he was hitting big shots, he was getting to whatever spot he wanted to on the floor, it just felt like he was in control. And that was the first time in a while I'd be like, okay, this dude is scary. I am afraid as a Duke hater to be cheering against this guy, So that's what I can't get out of my head. And thinking that what I saw from him over like the final 10 games of the year where he had that presence, I think there's a decent chance we see that for a full season.
Hart, what's going on here? Are you preparing some notes?
Yeah, no, don't mind me. Please go ahead.
I'm intrigued by what's happening there. I don't know, man. Like, I think he's a good player. Like, all this said, all my criticisms aside, like, my criticisms are coming just because I don't think he's one of the 10 best players in the sport. Like, that's my distinction. I still think he's a really good starter and going to be on a really good team. But to tie Cart's team into this a little bit too, like, everybody knows I love Jaden Akins. I think he's awesome. I think he's arguably the most talented player on a really talented Michigan State team. And there is no world this year that Jaden Akins is an All-American because that team has too many guys. And that's sort of how I feel about Duke, especially in the backcourt. Like, you're taking the same backcourt from last year that led to Proctor scoring 9 points a game and adding Jared McCain to it. And he's supposed to jump it, like, in order to be a first team All-American, he's got to average like 15 a game, right? Like, or Duke's got to be incredible and he's got to be like a 14-6 guy. I just don't know where that leap comes opportunity wise. And Cart, has whatever you've prepared been prepared?
Oh yeah. Just want to make sure I get this banner hung for Tyrese Proctor being in control last season. What a special player. Riley, come on.
Thank you for that.
In control? In control.
Where would that rank if a coach's best compliment for you was, hey, Cart, you play in control? Where would that rank in alongside your efficient as your least favorite things to hear?
I'd rather you just redshirt me. In control? That is, well, come on, bro. You know what? That's a Cook product statement. We're hyping up All-Americans because they're in control.
I just like, isn't Jeremy Roach possibly better than him though? Like, even if you don't like Jeremy Roach,
definitely a possibility.
Like, looking at his conference stats, like, Jeremy Roach was pretty much better across the board. He was better from the floor, scored more points a game. Like,
is he in control?
Okay.
I think it's the defensive ceiling for Proctor too that have Duke fans especially excited just because he's 6'5". I think he probably a little overrated on that end. It helped that he had Derek Lively kind of cleaning up every mistake. And Filipowski was really good defensively last year too for Duke. That's actually something where I will give them a ton of praise. Like Filipowski was actually awesome on defense last year.
Duke is loaded, man. Like, just the more we're talking through these names, like that freshman class, I can't believe they brought everybody back, honestly. Like, to get Mitchell, Filipowski, Roach, Proctor back and have the class they have coming in is crazy. So
yeah, speaking of Mitchell and Filipowski, that'll lead us into our final segment. We'll move it on. And